This is TWiT.
Bad day. Bad good, no good, terrible day for Netflix yesterday. They had to announce for the first time ever a loss of subscribers. Not a huge number, 100,000 subscribers, but it sure killed the stock.
You sure that was 100,000?
Sorry, 200,000. All right, well, that's still pittance compared to whatever millions they have, right?
Yeah.
Well, Wall Street's saying they may lose up to 2 million by July. I don't know where that number came from, but that's apparently part of the reason behind the freak out.
It's kind of
that, and the fact that it's for the first time ever that they lost subscribers. So everyone's like, "Oh my God!"
It's a real measure, though, of how Wall Street just wants internal growth, right? So here's the graph from Axios. Actually, this is Aaron Davis at Axios did this chart of percentage change in global streaming customers. 10%, 10%, 5%, but always up until we got to this one little red slice right here where it's down 0.1%. I mean, it's not the end of the world.
All right.
Netflix is saying we're going to start looking at, this is something Ben Thompson called for a few weeks ago, ad-supported. I don't want ads in my Netflix. I think that could go the other way for them, right? The stock, which had already been down 40% so far this year, it was down another almost 30%. I think competition from Disney, right? HBO.
It's competition from Disney, HBO. They put a lot of money into building content, and they also have been raising prices. They've had 2 price hikes in the last, year and a half?
That's what I was going to get to. What about inflation? People aren't making as much money nowadays, and they're just trying to cut costs. It is what it is.
We did think, though, that in COVID, this was like heaven for streaming services, right? Because you're all stuck at home.
Right.
Netflix model is tough, though, because all the catalogs being pulled back by the various other streaming services who want it for themselves. They lost The Office to Peacock and all of that. And so they have to Marvel goes to Disney. So they have to do original content, which is expensive. So they have to, I think that's the reason the prices went up. Netflix has 222 million paying subscribers. There might have been a little hint about this because last week Netflix said, and we're going to get all of you freeloaders who are borrowing your subscription from somebody else to pay. They estimate that's 100 million households, 30 million in the U.S. and Canada, that don't pay for Netflix but borrow a password.
Yeah.
That is an astonishing number to me. I just can't believe. I'm like, wow.
That's almost half.
I mean, do y'all have?
Yeah.
I pay for my own subscription, and I do not share it. It's only shared in the house under LastPass. Nobody knows the password.
I think my kids might be using my Netflix. But that was originally, they were in the household, and then they went to college. So at that point, I said, well, yeah, you can take it with you. Probably shouldn't have, though, right?
I don't know.
By now, they're all living on their own. They probably shouldn't be using my Netflix, I guess.
Yeah, I would assume.
I do think it's kind of an interesting thing.
Do your own account, if it were me.
It's expensive.
It's expensive, but it's also, think about like cell phone plans. Like, are your kids still on your cell phone plan?
Yes.
Hardhead is not on my plan anymore. Hardhead is on his own.
You are.
Hardhead.
Was it when he turned 18? What happened?
Yeah, he's in college now.
Does he have a job?
He works. Yes,
so he can't afford to. My kids have jobs, but I still pay. I pay for everybody's cell phone. I pay for Lisa's ex-husband's cell phone.
Will you adopt me?
I bought your cell phone. I don't pay for your service.
You bought this one.
Yeah.
You bought Stacey's.
I bought, Do you use that,
mine,
by the way?
yeah.
Is that flip phone? Are you liking it?
do.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I like it.
How about
you
the
want me to
Kobo?
send it back?
No. How about the Kobo reader?
Okay, so I have to tell you, now I have a plethora of e-readers because for my birthday, my husband got me the latest Kindle.
Oh, shoot.
Because it's waterproof.
Andrew and I have got to start coordinating their gifts.
Yeah, y'all have got to coordinate because now I've got 3 e-readers and I only need one and I don't know what to do with them.
Well, yeah, give it to your kid. Doesn't she want one?
She refuses to read things on Kindle.
She likes paper.
She's analog.
Yeah.
That's got a little hipster tween here, or teen.
Anyway, I get, if Disney Plus is also looking at ads, I feel like that's why we pay for Netflix and Disney Plus. Hulu had ads, and I ended up paying for the higher tier because I don't want to see ads, especially in the early days of these networks where the ads are the same over and over and over again.
But what's so important about this, I think, is that it's the dial goes one way or the other, right? Everything was supported by advertising, everything is supported by subscription, and now it's going to go back. But are they going to be able to get the ads? The ad market is shrinking. I don't know. Actually, it's not. Actually, I have a number this week that says it's not shrinking.
I don't know if you put this in or Stacey did. Carl Bodie, who you used to work with him at a gig home. Of course, he's great. I enjoy. This is his Twitter thread.
It's a good thread.
I always enjoy watching one-time innovators, aka Netflix, now huge and successful, pivot to turf protection. It always involves using all kinds of distorted logic to justify making their product worse to please investors. In other words, adding ads, I guess. Like here in the Netflix letter to investors where they claim the problem with password sharing. By the way, Carl points out, streaming executives used to love and noted it had no material impact on subscriber totals and revenues. That may still be true, by the way, because if somebody's sharing a password, do you think they're going to have, once it's revoked, go out and buy Netflix, or just say, well, some, but not all? That was always the argument. They could
turn that into a business model where I could create my own club on Netflix and get a cut of convincing Ant to be on my group and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I know people are doing that.
To meet investor demand, Bodie goes on. Is it Bodie or Baudet?
Short for
I always said
Bodation.
Bode.
Okay.
Carl Bode. So I'm like, well, your way is
Have you
different.
ever met him?
I don't know. In person? No.
Oh,
Yeah,
so how would
never
you
met
know?
anybody she works with.
He actually lives in Seattle now, but I've never met him in person.
I like his Twitter. We ought to have him on sometime.
Absolutely. I've been reading him for years. I love everything he writes. It's great.
Yeah, he's great.
To meet investor demand for
He's been on the show, right?
Oh, yeah, he has.
He was on
and
the
I asked
show.
him how to say his name.
Okay,
but
yeah.
I forgot.
So
Shocking.
Oh, right.
I think it was Bodie. I think that's why I say Bodie. To meet investor demand for improved...
Just Carl.
Just Carl to me. To meet investor demand for improved quarterly returns at any cost, under this lovely public model we've developed, the company starts to effectively self-cannibalize and make its product crappier and more expensive.
Like newspapers.
Price hikes, worse customer service, less features. It's fewer features. He needs your red pencil.
Grammarly.
Grammarly. Hashtag Grammarly. Sponsor. Well, okay. Cable companies spent the last few years whining about how streaming password sharing
was great reads today, Leo.
I did that one on purpose.
This is what you do for a living?
Cable companies spent the last few years whining about how if I do it in a pompous voice, I never make mistakes.
Do it.
Cable companies spent the last few years whining about how streaming password sharing was piracy. Netflix has increasingly been shoved toward that position by the market as well, despite the fact that it's, not true.
Wow.
Blah, 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 blah. But he made the point. He made the point, which is what happens once you become successful. Then it's all about covering your turf, protecting your turf, keeping your market share up.
Well, yes, and I mean you have to keep innovating. At a certain point, that's hard. There's only so many times you can learn and relearn.
Yes, that's all the cell phone makers. Wall Street demands
constant growth.
Yeah.
This is why I don't have public money in my company. I can just coast along, delivering a consistent product, and I don't have to worry about anything.
They're knocking at the door to give you millions?
No one has knocked on my door. I don't even get stuffed ants in the mail.
But if they were, you wouldn't take it.
I'd probably just sell out. I'll be honest. If someone wants to offer me a few million, I'd be like, take it.
Oh, believe me. But it would be more than a few million. Come on, hold out.